Okay, welcome everyone. As we welcome in Aaron Swade, A.B. Spry, Mel Zachter, Dr. Block, Stephen Holtzman, Yitzhak Fuchs. We welcome in Marshall Castle, Irving Fishbaum, Nachman Chapler, Michal, Dr. Guy, Eddie Chazan. Let's see, that's Mo Kushner, good to have you, Naftali Javelin, Moshe Lehman, Yitzi Muller, David Healthcott, Ankara Loshin. And here we have Avram Schenkman. Avram, it's great to have you. Saba. We have Rich Leonard, Gedalia Engel, Ruvain Shanet. What's the gentleman's name in the back? No, well, you're welcome anyway. You're welcome anyway. He shall go nameless. We welcome in over here. I don't know who iPhone 13 Pro is. Is that Menachem Yamansky? Not sure who that is.
Ben-Zion.
Who?
Ben-Zion. It's Ben-Zion.
Ben-Zion, it's wonderful to have you. We are holding on, and we are dedicated by Shimon Klein, Lee Nishmas Arshan Ben Yehuda, Gittabas Shimon Pinchas, Irving Fishbaum for his continued Gesund, Isser Ben Rezel. We are dedicated by A.B. Spry for the safety of our Chayalim and all of Klal Yisrael, and for the rescue of the hostages, and especially for Isu Zev Ben Yuta, and that's Shimon Klein, who just joined us, Moshe Lehman, and Jay Siegel is here, and Harrison Kletzel. We are holding on the bottom of Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, where we quote the next statement that we made, 3 lines from the bottom. Welcoming in Ilya Shutman, just getting in under the wire. Kadmu bale chayvais v'higviu. Now remember what the case is over here is that Marshall's ox damaged Abi's ox, and Marshall's ox was a tam. So we said if the creditors, people that Marshall owed money to, Kadmu bale chayvais v'higviu, let's say Marshall owed Nachman money, and Nachman takes the shor before Abi gets his hands on it. Bein chavat sheloi hizik, whether Marshall owed Nachman the money before the ox did damage, bein hizik ad sheloi chav, or it damaged before he owed the money to Nachman. Loi asav loi klum. Nachman's taking the shor is of no consequence because of the fact that Abi has a lien on it. Because he could only collect from that shor. So the Gemara says, that makes sense where Marshall's ox damaged Abi's ox before he owed the money to Nachman. Therefore, it makes sense because Nizakin Kadmu, because his responsibility to Abi has precedence to him owing the money to Nachman. But if he owed the money to Nachman and then it did the damage, so why Balchav Kadim? Nachman has a prior lien. Even if it damaged before Nachman owed the money, even so, but still, Balchov Kadim, Nachman, being energetic, he seized it first. You want to say, Shmami, no, you want to conclude from here, you want to conclude from here that Bal Chayv Me'ocher, if let's say there were 2 creditors. The earliest one was Nachman, and then after Nachman was Shimon. So Nachman really had the prior right. But if Shimon sees something, do you want to deduce from here that that a later creditor, shekidem the gava, that goes and seizes something, masha gava loy gava, what he did has no consequence? That's not so simple. So the Gemara says, we're not saying that. In an unusual situation where there are two creditors of Marshall, and the later creditor seizes it in Satatrat, he gets to keep it. But here it's different, because whoever takes it, it makes no difference. Nachman takes it. Whoever takes it, Abi says, look, I don't care if you take it. Even if you take it, I'm going to take it away from you. Because I have a very exclusive lien on this shar, since I could only collect from this shar. Because I could only collect Megufay. And that's what the Gemara says. V'shani Asim, it's different over there. Da'amalei ilu gabachave, even if Nachman takes it, I would take it away from you. Why? The high Torah asking this axe that damaged my axe, minoch mishtalimna. It's the only place where I could get paid, and therefore I have a type of exclusive lien on this, and therefore even if Nachman takes it, I'm going to take it away from him. Even if he takes it, normally if a later creditor takes it, the earlier creditor can't take it away from him. But this is a very exclusive type of lien. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol niyeh b'dvaro.
Amen. That better be a good bourbon.
You know, you can't say enough about water. It says, Ein mayim ela Torah. It doesn't say Ein bourbon ela Torah. It doesn't say Ein single malt. I'll tell you, I hate to say this, but it doesn't even say Ein Pepsi ela Torah. It only says Ein mayim ela Torah.
You realize this is recorded, but you just...
I do realize it. You know what? You know why mayim has two mems and one yud? Because it parallels H2O, right? Just like it's two molecules of hydrogen and one of oxygen. So that's why there's two mems and one yud. Yeah. And the reason why mayim is a palindrome is because, right, a palindrome is a word that's read backwards and forwards the same, is because that's the water cycle. The water comes down from the sky, then the sun comes down, pumps back the excess vapor, pumps it back up, and it comes down again. That's the water cycle. That's why mayim is the same thing is true with shemesh. Shemesh is also a palindrome because the cycle keeps on going, right? So it keeps on on going around the cycle. Now, says the Gemara, as we learn to be mekayim the mitzvah v'dibarta bam lasis nachas ruach liyitzreinu, no better hachana to Chanukah than learning. Right? Chanukah. That's why it's legendary that people have a hard time keeping up their learning Siddharim on Chanukah. But the truth of the matter is that if there's any time that we should be strong in our learning, it's Chanukah. It's the pursuit of the Yavanim was lashkicham Torah, to cause us to forget your Torah. And therefore Chanukah is a very big time of Torah. That's why I try to do everything around the shiurim, not to miss the shiurim. It's a good time for family too, but not to destroy shiurim. We want to welcome in Richard Rosenzweig. Please don't forget, Richard, that we like to see you, even though you come in, in a clandestine way and undercover. But even undercover, we still see you with us. So please come on Zoom. Jay Siegel, Harrison Kletzel, they're all Zoomers, so you come on because Marshall is really thirsty. He's dreaming bourbon already. Okay, Tan Rabbanan. Shor Shava Masayim, Shenogach Shor Shava Masayim. What happens over here is that Marshall's ox that's worth 200 gores Shelley's ox that's worth 200. V'chavel by b'chamishim zuz. And it did 50 zuz of damage. Right? So in Shelley's ox, it did 50 zuz of damage. So therefore, and since it's a tam, he would be mechuyev to pay Shelley $25. Or in fractions, since Marshall's a big fraction man, in fractions he would be chayev to pay Shelley an eighth. Right? Because since it's 200, he damaged 50, and it's a tam, so 25 out of 200 is an eighth. V'amad al arba meya zuz. And then Shelley's ox went up to 400 zuz. So you'll say, great. However, Shelley is quick to point out that if Marshall's ox would not have created the havoc, his ox would be worth 800 zuz. Shel malay lo yiziku, if not, or shel malay yiziku, if not that Marshall's ox did the damage, hoyoimid al shmeina meis. So now, what Shelley's an enterprising fellow. Shelley wants Marshall to pay an eighth of the new amount. An eighth of 400 is 50. So instead of paying an eighth of 200 at the time of the damage, which is 25, Shelley wants an eighth of 400, which would be 50. So what does the Gemara say? Noisen kishas hanezek. Sorry, Shelley, but Reb Marshall, the cheapie, only has to give you 25. Sorry, I know Shelley does not look surprised in the slightest.
He's getting Shelley with that, so he's okay.
Now, kichesh, in the event, now, what about, or kochash, what about if Shelley's ox deteriorated further? In other words, initially the damage was 150, but then it deteriorated more. So then the din is that we don't view the amount at the time of the damage, but there we do kishas hamad b'din. So therefore, if let's say at the time of the damage, Shelley's ox went from 200 to 150, but by the time they had the court case, it went down to 100, so then Marshall would have to pay 50. So, okay, so now the Gemara tries to figure out, remember we had a machlokes Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva, whether the way it works is that Shelley gets the rights of Marshall's ox, or whether he owes him money. Amar Shavach Mazik, in the event Amar Shavach Mazik, I didn't finish the case. Look at that. I'm running to Amamai. I didn't realize what I did. I'll back up 2 lines. Shavach Mazik. If the one that improved was Marshall's ox, so So Shavach Mazik. So in this case, remember, if Shelley gets, like Rabbi Akiva, ownership of part of Marshall's ox, so then in the case where he would have to pay him an eighth, he gets ownership of an eighth of the ox. Shavach Mazik, if Shelley's then ox appreciates and becomes worth more, nice and like Kishas HaNezek. No, Marshall doesn't have to give him a bigger amount. He only has to give him the way it was at the time of the damage. So since he did $50 damage, and Chatzi Nezek is 25, he only has to give him 25. Even though if we would figure that Shelley owns an eighth of his ox, if that eighth appreciates, it should go to Shelley. Kichesh, in the event that there's a depreciation in the value of Marshall's ox, then it's Kishas Hamad B'din. Then it's as at the time of the verdict, which sounds like it means that if he only has to give an eighth, so if, let's say, the price of the ox goes from 200 to 160, right? He only has to give an eighth of 160, so he only has to give $20 instead of 25. So that seems to be clearly like Rabbi Akiva, and that's what the Gemara now is going to right away pounce on. Amar Mar Shavach Mazik. If the price of Marshall's ox goes up, Noisen Kishas HaNezek, he doesn't get an eighth of the new price. He only gets $25 the way it was that was damaged. So that means that Shelley never got the actual shares in Marshall's ox, because if he got shares in Marshall's ox, then if he goes up, he should get extra. So Mani Rabbi Shmuel, that just says that Marshall owes him money. Dama Bal Chayvu v'zuzei in the Masaklei. Ema Seicha. But then look at the latter part. It says Kichesh, that if it depreciates, then Kishas Hamad B'din. So therefore he only gets an eighth, and if it goes down from 200 to 160, an eighth is then $20, and he would get 20 instead of 25. That means Aslan Rabbi Kiva Dama Shutfei Ninu, that Shelley has shares in the ox, and therefore if his eighth goes down, he gets less. So Reisha Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Shmuel, V'Sefer Rabbi Kiva. Reisha is Rabbi Shmuel, and the Sefer is Rabbi Kiva. Loi Kula Rabbi Kiva. It's all going according to Rabbi Kiva, that Shelley gets shares in the ox. So that's why in the Sefer, when it says that if it depreciates, he gets only the way it is at the time of judgment, because he gets an eighth of the ox, and an eighth at the time of the judgment was only worth $20. Then why, if it appreciates, does he only get 25? If it appreciates, he should get an eighth of the new price. It only appreciated because Marshall fattened it up. So if Marshall fattened it up, then Shelley can't claim in the appreciation, because it's only because Marshall fattened it up. If it's talking about where Marshall fattened it up, then Ema Reisha Shavach, in the event that the ox that Marshall damages, Shelley's ox, appreciated v'amad al dalin me'ezuz, and went up to 400, noisen like kishas hanezek. He only has to give him the $25. So the Gemara says, if it appreciated because Shelley fattened it up, what's the chiddush? Of course, he can't say that, well, if you want the damage, it was $800. What do you mean? It fattened up only because it appreciated only because you fattened it up. So the Gemara says, you're right. We're going to say that this brisa in different parts is talking about different things. As we welcome in Yitzi Paderer, who's joining us. Amar Papa, Reisha Mishkachas La Bein de Pitma Petume, Bein de Shifcha Memela. Whether Shelley fattened it up, whether it became fat on its own. And the Chiddush is that in the event that it was $200, Marshall did a damage of $50. Even though it went up to $400, and Shelley claims that if you wouldn't have damaged it, it would be $800, he still only pays the damage at the time of the Nezek. It's the Ashmina Deicha, the Shifcha Memela, where it went appreciated on its own, even though Shelley wants to claim that if you wouldn't have damaged it, it would have gone up to $800. He only has to give the amount at the time of the damage, which was $50, and since it's a tam, he pays $25. Seifa, in the Seifa, where it says that in case the animal appreciates, even so, Shelley does not get an eighth of the appreciation, like Mishkachas L'Elikeshepitmai. There only is where he fattened it up, and therefore that's why Shelley doesn't get the appreciation, because even though he owns an eighth of the animal, but if Marshall fattened it up, he doesn't get from that profit. Says the Gemara, Kichesh Geshas Hamad B'Din. We said that if it depreciates, then he only gets. Excuse me. When it depreciates, we go according to the time of the verdict. So the Gemara says, Kichesh Machmas Mai. What caused the deterioration? If it depreciated because Shelley worked with it, why should Marshall have to pay for that? You emaciated by working with it, and I should pay? Marshall says, come on, this takes the cake or the pizza. Amravashi, no, the kichesh machmas maka. It's still deteriorating because of the goring. The Amalei for Shelley says, Karna de Turach Kfirabe. It's like the horn of the ox is still embedded in my animal. And therefore, if it deteriorates still further because of the damage, Marshall is going to be chayav for that as well.
Question?
Yes, time's up. Yeah, what?
Yeah, how do you have two hamadas? No,
There's only one hamada.
but then how do you assign a value to it before the court?
These are farmers. They know the damage. These are farmers. They know the damage. Now, Barish, I want to know, you're going to be by Marav at 7:45 tomorrow night?
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
You're not going to be back yet?
I'm back. We have something at my children's house, but if I think I should be able to be back.
Okay, we're counting on you.
So we're learning now that the damage is set. You consider depreciation up until the time of din, but didn't we learn previously that we considered damages up till the time of the accident, and then depreciation after the accident didn't count?
No, that's the depreciation of the corpse. You're confusing two things.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, my other question is: does the owner have a responsibility to prevent as much damage and depreciation as possible of the animal once it was damaged?
You mean to take it to the doctor?
Take the doctor, or
yeah, he takes it to the doctor, and the one who did the damage doesn't have to pay for that.
No, what I mean is, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. If he could show he was negligent, then Marshall wouldn't have to pay. Hate to say that, but
I like to hear it.
now, Sandy Grunfeld is joining us. That's good. Good to have you, Sandy. Now, We'll get yet Sandy Grudenfeld to come on Zoom. It's going to take, it's hard, certain people to change their habits. We have to make a meeting with the family and discuss the room. It's brought down that a person should have in their house a designated place where they learn. So we have to get them a designated place in the house to learn with a designated laptop. We'll make a collection, and maybe we'll get Sandy to come. Maybe we'll get Sandy to come on Zoom. Okay. Zog the Heilige Mishnah, as we learn on this pre-Chanukah day, I remember Rabbi saying that after the shir tonight, we have a special Chanukah shir, very exciting. Shor Shava Masayim, Shenogach Shor Shava Masayim. Now here we have that Marshall's ox is worth 200, AB's ox is worth 200, Ve'ena Nevela Yofa Klum, and Marshall's ox totals, and I mean totals AB's ox. I mean it's a train wreck. He shredded it to pieces. So, and it's a tam. So, Amar Reb Meir al Zeh Nemar, referring to this case, it says, Umacharo yes hashor achai. So they sell Marshall's ox, which is $200, v'chotzu es katzpai, and they divide the money. And AB takes 100 and Marshall takes 100. Very simple. That's the simple case, right? Because it's a tam, it pays a chatzi nezek. He did $200 damage. His shor is worth $200, right? So he owes AB $100. So they take Marshall's shor, which is 200, sell it, and Marshall takes 100, and AB takes 100. And that is the pshat in the pasuk. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says, look, v'chein halacha. I'm not going to argue with you that that's the halacha, but that doesn't explain the psukim. Kiyamta, you have explained the first pasuk, and you split the money. But but that doesn't answer the second part, the latter part of the pasuk, and they also split the carcass. The carcass here is worth nothing, so there's nothing to split. You want to know what case the pasuk is talking about? Oh, I'll tell you what case the pasuk is talking about. What case is the pasuk talking about? Shor Shava Masayim. Marshall's ox is worth 200. Shenogach Shor Shava Masayim. Gore's AB's ox, which is also worth 200. Vanavelo Yofa Chamishim Zuz. And it does damage of $150. The carcass is worth 50. So how much damage did Marshall do? He did a damage of $150. How much does Marshall have to pay since it's a tam? $75. So that's what they do. Since he has to pay $75, so what he does is they sell his shor, the live one, and they sell the nevela. That gives us a total of $250. Now, how much does Marshall have to pay from his ox? He did damage of $150, so he has to pay $75. Right? So what you do is that Marshall sells his ox, they sell the carcass, they get a total of how much? $250, and AB takes $125, and Marshall takes $125. In that way, how much is Marshall paying? $75. Right? Because if Marshall had $200 and he ends up with $125, he paid $75. So it says, Marshall takes half of the live animal, 100, and half of the corpse. Remember, the corpse was 50. So he takes 125. And AB takes 125. In that way, how much is he paying? Well, out of that 125, 50 was AB's anyway because he owned the corpse. So he's getting 75. And Marshall is paying 75. It works out perfect. Says the Gemara, and it would seem to be that Rabbi Yehuda's interpretation of the pasuk covers all parts of the pasuk. It's ingenious. So now, how does Rameya learn? So now the Gemara is going to explain. Tanurabanan. Gedalia. Tanurabanan. Tanurabanan. Shoshava Masayim, Shenagach Shoshava Masayim. If Marshall's Shah, which was 200, gored, AB Shah, that's worth 200. Vanavela Yafa Chamishim Zuz, and the carcass is worth 50. So therefore, how much damage was done? 150. Marshall has to pay how much? 75, because it's a tam. So Zen Noitel Katzi Akai Vakatzi Amei. So Marshall takes half of his animal, which is 100, and half of the corpse, which is 25. So he gets, of the 200, he gets 125, and he pays 75. V'Zen Noitel Katzi Akai Vakatzi Amei. V'Zel Shah Amid B'Torah, and that's the Shah that the Torah says that U'Machra es Ashar Akai V'Chotzu es Kasvay V'Yam es Ameis Yechatzun. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Reimer, no. I disagree. And we welcome in Philippe for our 29th Zoomer of the evening. 29 Zoomers on this evening, missing Mark Franco, missing Shimon Deer, we're missing a lot of people here tonight. If Richard Rosenzweig would come on, we would have 30. If Harrison Kletzel, 31. If Jay Siegel, 32. And then all of a sudden, if we do that, Marshall is only 18 kites in Lebanon away from Bourbon Bliss. Says the Gemara, Marshall, you need a Hanukkah miracle. Come on.
I have the bottle that refills automatically.
Right. You look like that, yeah. Says the Gemara, Rameya says, Ein zeh shara hama b'Torah. Marshall's shar is 200, AB shar is 200, and Marshall's shar totals AB shar. Referring to this, does it say they sell the live ox, v'chitzo es kasbei, 100. Elamani mekayim v'gam es ameis yechatzun. So he says, here comes Richard Rosenzweig. See, there's a good Talmud. The Rebbe asks for something, and the Talmud comes. Marshall, you're a good Talmud. The Rebbe says, here he is. He's the 30th person. That's 3 minyanim. 3 minyanim. It can't get better than 3 minyanim on Zoom. Thank you, Richard. It's good to have you. Pre-Hanukkah. So anyway, so Elamani Mekayim v'gam es ameis yechatzon. If Marshall's ox totaled Abi's ox is worth nothing. There's nothing to split. No, gam es ameis yechatzon just means pchas shepich sumisa, the deterioration that was caused when Marshall's animal did the killing blow. Machzin b'chai. We divide in the live animal. That's all. It's not talking about the corpse at all. So the Gemara says, what's the difference between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan? They both agree with everything. They both agree that if they both agree that if the corpse is worth 50 and the damage is only 150, that Marshall pays 75. They both agree with that. So what, sometimes the Gemara says, Mashmois dorshni kibeinai. They're only arguing how to read the psukim. But here the Gemara says there's a halachic difference. Let's see it inside. Michte, let's examine. Bein Reb Meir, bein Reb Yehuda, hai meya ve'esim v'chamisha shakel, v'hai meya ve'esim v'chamisha shakel. At the end, in the event that Marshall's animal damages Abi's animal, and it does 150 damage, and the corpse is worth 50, So they both end up with 125 because Marshall has to pay 75. I may have asked him chamisha shekel, but I may have asked him chamisha shekel. AB ends up with 125, and Marshall ends up with 125. My beinai, what's the difference between them? So the Gemara attempts to say that the difference between them is something that Richard mentioned earlier. If the corpse decreases in value, says the Gemara, if the corpse depreciates, Rebbe Meir savar pchas nevela denizikam. Rebbe Meir says that Shelley carries, AB carries the deterioration. That's not Marshall's responsibility. Rebbe Yehuda savar pchas nevela demazikav palga. That Marshall has to shoulder half of the deterioration, and that's the meaning of a games hameis yechetzon. He also pays a chatzi nezek in the deterioration of the corpse. But the Gemara now really counters this with what Richard referred to earlier. Because the Gemara said earlier that we learn out that by a mu'id, bailim metaplim b'nevela, that it's the responsibility of the owner, the one who was damaged, to worry about the nevela. The mazik doesn't have to pay for it. Amalei Abaye, Imke Matzino Reb Yehuda, if you're going to say according to Reb Yehuda that Marshall is responsible for the deterioration, Imke Matzino Reb Yehuda, that as we turn the page to Lamadal on the base, that Tam Chomer Mamuid, that Tam is more Chomer Mamuid, because we said by a 3-timer, as Rashi brings down, we learned in the first parak, Baalam Etaplam Benavela. Yeah, in some areas a tam is more stringent than a mu'ud. We find this in the regard to shmira. By a tam, if you make a minimal shmira, you're potter. But by a tam, if you make a minimal shmira, you're chayiv. But a mu'id that you make a minimal shmira on, you're potter. Because by tam there's a knas, and by a mu'id there isn't. We learn it out from psukim. Says the Gemara, Reb Yehuda, tam chayiv, with a shmira pchusa, with a minimal shmira, a tam is chayiv, a mu'id potter. So the Gemara says, yeah, but that's no comparison. Because Ahmed is Shamalei Reb Yehuda, that Reb Yehuda says that lenient shmira d'chsivei kroi, because the psukim, lenient tashlumim, that to say that a tam is going to be chayiv in the depreciation, but a mu'id is not, mishamas, that's unheard of. Vatanya, indeed, we learned Reb Yehuda Aimer Yochel Shor, says the Gemara, but Tanya, you can't say that you pay, that Marshall has to pay for the depreciation. Because Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Yachal Shor Shava Mana, Shenogach Shor Shava Chamesh Sloim. Now, I don't want you to get mixed up over here in the coinage. A seller is 4 zuz. So therefore, 5 sloim is 20. So I might think, Shor Shavamana, Marshall Shor is worth $100. Shenogach Shor Shava Chamesh Sloim, that Gore's AB Shor, which is worth $20, because 5 slum, 4 zuz, is $20. Vanavela Yofa Seller, and the Nevela is only worth $4. So that means that he does $16 damage. Right? Because it was worth $20, 5 slug, and now it's worth 4, so he did $16 damage. So I might say, I might say that AB takes half of the live animal, which is $50, and half of the corpse, which is $8. V'zeh noitel katzi chai v'katzi ameis. So that means that he did $16 damage and AB ends up with $58. That doesn't make sense. A muad is more stringent or more lenient. So you'll say, of course, if it did 3 times, even a muad only pays what it does damage. Tam hakal, like Kolshnet, it makes no sense that AB should end up where his animal was only originally worth $20, he should end up with $58. That makes absolutely no sense. So therefore you see that we never say that a tam is more stringent than a muad. The question is, what happens if the corpse appreciates? It goes up in value. The Mar Savar de Nizikavik, one says that it's the appreciation of the corpse is completely AB's. We don't say that Marshall has any chelik in the corpse. Or Mar Savar Palga. And one man Yama says that Marshall gets half of the appreciation because it says v'games hameis yechetzon, and therefore if the corpse goes up, he gets half of the appreciation. V'hainu de kasha leila Rabbi Yehuda, and this is what was difficult to Rabbi Yehuda. Hashta de omrit chas rachmana ulvei de mazik. Now that we say that we see that the Torah, and it is a very big chiddush. You have to remember this is Erev Chanukah Tavshim Pei Daled because it doesn't happen often. But we find that the Torah has Rachmanis on Marshall. No, Marshall can't believe it. He should buy a lottery ticket. Now, Hashta de Amrit, it happens only on a leap year when there's a blue moon. Hashta de Amrit Chas Rachmane Ilvei de Mazik. Now that we say that the Torah has mercy on the Mazik and lets him take half of the appreciation, the Shakel B'Shvacha, so then Yochel, I might think, Shor Shava Chamesh Slon. Here, a shor is worth $20. Shenogach Shor Shava Mana. That gores AB's ox, which is worth $100. Va'anavela yafa chamishim zuz, and the corpse is worth 50. So let's think about that. Marshall's ox, which was worth $20, gores AB's ox, which is worth 100, and went down to 50. So Marshall is really chayiv 25 because he did $50 damage. And he's chayiv 25 because that's chati nezik. Now, of course, AB is not going to get his 25 because AB could only collect migufa deshar, and the gufa deshar is only chamesh slum, which is 20, right? So he'll get 20 of the 25. Oh, but I might think we should take the pasuk literally, that we should divide both shvarim. If we divide both shvarim, then Marshall is going to make money on the deal. Right? Because if we divide both shvarim, so his is worth 20, so AB gets 10 and he gets 10, and AB's is worth 50, so we divide that, it's 25 and 25. Marshall had a show that's worth 20, and he ends up with 35. So I might think, Zen noitel chatzi achai v'chatzi hameis, Zen noitel chatzi achai v'chatzi hameis. So Amrit, so the Gemara says, where do we find that a chote is an iska? Where do you find that a sinner profits? Stop, wipe that smirk off your face, Marshall. Amrit, heichen matzinu mazik niska shezen niska. Where do you find that a damage of profits that this one should profit? Ve'aymer, and furthermore it says, shalem yishalem. You only have to pay. Balim mishalman, the owner has to pay. But if ain't balim neitlan, Marshall doesn't collect. So the Gemara says, "My vaymer." Why do we need? I mean, the first thing is good enough that we don't say a chaytei nisker. Why do we need to bring a pasuk? But b'chitei mahani mili echad ikep seidel l'nizik. That's where there would be a loss to Abi, because if Abi Shar is with 100 and goes down to 50, and of that 50 you give 25 away from it to Marshall, you're causing Abi a loss. Aval heicha the lekap seidel l'nizik. What if there's no loss to Abi? What if there's no loss to Abi? What's the case? Here's the case. Kigain shor shava chamesh sloim. Marshall's ox is worth 20. Shenogach shor shava chamesh sloim. That Gore's Abi's ox, that's also worth 20. And would you know it? You know, sometimes they're better dead than alive. It's true by the wicked. Sometimes they're better dead than alive. Right? It says, Misas Risham, Toiv Lahem, V'Toiv Labrias. It's good for them and it's good for people. That's the way it works with the wicked. So sometimes it's better dead than alive. So says the Gemara over here, let's see it inside. I might think that a shor shava chamesh slur in Marshall's shor is worth 20. Shenogach shor shava chamesh slur, Abi's shor is worth 20. V'anavela yafa shloishim. And now the corpse is worth 30. So it goes up in value. So here I might say that we split the living one and the dead one. So the living one is 10, and the dead one is 15. So Marshall comes out ahead because he gets 25. I might say we could allow that because Abi also comes out ahead. Zu shakal, says Gemara, shakal nami mazik b'shivcha. I might think that Marshall also reaps in the profit. Therefore, if I'm a shalom yeshalem, you only pay. There's no way that Marshall is going to make a profit. So before we finish this rather technical, difficult Gemara, this is a very technical, I give everybody credit, 30 Zoomers and all our viewers and listeners and everybody here, Facebookers, YouTubers, Kolalasheners, subscribers, I give everybody credit. This is very technical and hard Gemara for the end of the day. So we have one more case that the Gemara is going to throw at us. And then the Gemara gets much easier. Amalei Ravacha bar Tachlifa, Amalei Ravacha bar Tachlifa l'Rava. Im kain, if so, Matzinu l'Rav Yehuda that tam mishalem yoyse michatzi nezek. That a tam pays. If those that are here for the Chanukah share, we should begin the Chanukah share in about 7-8 minutes. Again, Amalei Rav Acha bar Tachlifa. Welcome. We should begin the Chanukah shir in about 5 to 7 minutes. Just the ladies, please be quiet in the back. They don't hear me.
Outside the room.
It doesn't help. Amalei Rav Acha bar Tachlifa l'Rava. Im kain, if so, Matzinu l'Rab Yehuda tam mishalem yoyse mechatzi nezek. that there will be situations where a tam will pay more than half damages. But the Torah says, says the Gemara, what's this case? The case is as follows. Marshall's ox is worth $50. Marshall's ox is worth $50 and does damage to Abi's ox, which is worth $40. Again, please tell them to be quiet. Again, the Hanukkah shir will start, but I keep on having to stop because people are talking. Thank you very much. Now, Marshall's ox is worth $50. Abi's ox is worth $40. Right? When Marshall's ox gores it, it's worth $20. So how much damage did Marshall's ox do? 20. And his chatzi nezek is 10. So he really should pay 10. So he should be left, out of his 50, he should be left with 40. And Abi would then have 30. But if we use the formula, what is... I don't even understand it. Thank you. If we use the formula of dividing the living and the dead, so we divide the 50 of Marshall, giving 25, and we divide the dead of Abi, which is 20, that's 10 and 10, so then Marshall ends up with 35, and Abi ends up with 35. So he's getting more than a chatzi nezek. And that's the Gemara's kasha. Using this formula in certain scenarios, because the Torah says that you should divide the money. Says the Gemara, well, Islay Rabbi Yehuda agrees with the way that Rameir darshaned v'gam es hameis yechetzon that pchas shepichsa misa machzin mechai, that you only divide the damage that was done at the time of when he gores. So you only pay 10. So you can never have that you pay more than 10. So he says, but the Gemara says, but Rabbi Yehuda already used that. How does he know that? And that means that the damage that the living one made in the mace, you divide. But Rabbi Yehuda, he used it to tell us that Marshall gets a portion in the appreciation of the nevela. Imkei nichtav kra ve'es hameis. It just should have said ve'es hameis yechetzon. My v'gam. So you have another drasha. Shma min tarte. Therefore, we learn both. Now, the next Mishnah tells us easy halachas. Yesh chayiv al ma'aseh sharia, pater al ma'aseh atzma. There are times that you're chayiv if a shor does the damage, but you're exempt if you do the damage. And there are times where pater al ma'aseh sharia, where if your shor does the damage, you're pater, but v'chayiv al ma'aseh atzma. You're chayiv if you do it yourself. Ketzad. Where are you chayiv when you do an action, but if your shor does the action, you're pater? Shorei shebiyish pater. Your shor that embarrasses someone, pater, because shor doesn't pay for embarrassment. But for who should be if you embarrass someone, chayiv. So if a shor just knocks off someone's pants and embarrasses him, it's not chayiv. But a person that knocks off somebody's clothing is chayiv. Shor shesimei es ein avdai. If your shor blinds the eye of your Eved Kanani, or v'hipal eshinai, or knocks out his tooth, potter. I mean, he's your property, so you're potter. But v'hu shesimei es ein avdai. But if the Adain blinds the eye of his Eved, or v'hipal eshinai, or knocks out his tooth, we know that tzyoytze b'shein v'avda, shein v'ayin, that if he blinds the eye of his Eved Kanani, or knocks out the tooth, the Eved goes free. So chayiv. Shor shechavel ba'aviv be'imai, if his shor wounded his father or his mother, chayiv. But v'hu shechavel ba'aviv be'imai, but if he wounds his father and mother, since he gets misa for making a wound in his father and mother, he doesn't pay, because that's kam leibad radminei. But similarly, shor shehidlikes hagadish b'Shabbos, if a shor ignites crops on Shabbos, so chayiv, it's chayiv for burning down the crops. V'hu shehidlikes hagadish b'Shabbos, but if he ignites somebody's crops on Shabbos, potter. Why? Because since he forfeits his life by being mechal Shabbos, he doesn't pay the financial payment, because since he forfeits his life, he doesn't pay the money as well. Okay, we stop over here now, Rabbi Yisai, and what happens now is we're going to learn the Chanukah shir. Everybody, all the women are invited to come in and join us for the Chanukah shir, and we're going to do the Mishnah Yomis after the Chanukah shir, so everybody is invited to join us. As we just set up over here, this was Bava Kama 34.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Marcia, you're not staying for tomorrow night, regular time, 8 o'clock.
Correct, Rabbi.
Yeah, everybody's invited to stay.